Mandatory minicamp has come and gone, and the Birds are on summer vacation. We'll talk about the latest updates on that, plus one final slightly cryptic message left in the Eagles locker room. All that and more, so without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Olde City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs and more. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. We got a few topics for this week as minicamp has come and gone, and we'll start those right now with roster updates. Starting off the roster updates, the Eagles have signed offensive lineman Michael Jordan. No, not the NBA player. Jordan was drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals in 2019, and since then he's played for them, the Panthers, the Packers, the Patriots, and most recently the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Additionally, the Eagles have signed former Buffalo defensive end AJ Epinesa. Now, he was originally signed to the Cleveland Browns on a $5 million deal back in March, I want to say. However, that was rescinded after a failed physical, kind of similar to the Max Crosby situation. But since getting drafted in 2020, Epinesa has racked up 135 total tackles, 24 sacks, 21 pass deflections, 5 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 4 interceptions, and 1 defensive touchdown. His best performances came during the 2022 and 2023 seasons, where he racked up 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions across those seasons. The terms of Epinesa's deal have not currently been disclosed, though. To make way for these signings, the Birds have released linebackers Isaiah King and Chandler Martin, who had been re-signed after being released once earlier this offseason. And finally, the Birds have signed defensive tackle Zion Wilson out of East Carolina University. Wilson comes to Philly after posting 42 tackles and 7 sacks during his 2025 campaign down in Greenville. Now, his original plan was to transfer to the University of Virginia for a 6th year of college football. However, the NCAA denied his waiver to do so, and now he joins the team in Philly. All right, our next topic for tonight is a final locker room message. So, he couldn't make one final appearance without bringing attention to himself, could he? While making one last stop at the Jefferson Health Training Complex, newest Patriots wide receiver A.J. Brown gathered the last of his items after being traded to New England the week before. However, before actually leaving, he went up to the Pro Bowl wall, which honors past and present Eagles Pro Bowl players, and left a note stating, "The best to ever do it. Always open." Not the best receiver, not the best offensive player, the best in general to ever do it, I guess. What more does he fucking want? He got what he wanted. He's off the Eagles. He's with his precious fucking Patriots. And now he's got to bring more attention to himself with some cocky shit like that? Seriously, what more does he fucking want? Now, does he have the talent to back this shit up? Of course. 5,000 receiving yards, an average of almost 15 yards per catch, and 32 touchdowns in 4 seasons with the Birds. He's definitely a talented player and one of the best receivers in modern Eagles history. But the best Eagles player in general to ever do it? That's a bit of a fucking stretch. When it comes to the best to ever do it, I think of those guys whose numbers are retired, such as Chuck Bednarik, Brian Dawkins, Steve Van Buren, or Reggie White. And then you throw guys in the mix like Harold Carmichael, LaShawn McCoy, Jason Peters, and so on. And now I'm aware that these guys all played different positions. I get that. But again, his note said the best to ever do it, not the best receiver to ever do it. Now, of course, the arguments come up about who is the best Eagles receiver of all time because of Brown's shenanigans. But then again, you got guys to think about like Harold Carmichael, Tommy McDonald, Deshaun Jackson, who have been with the team way longer than A.J. Brown has, and those guys are considered some of the top Eagles receivers in franchise history. And because his tenure was so short, it's kind of hard for that statement, the best to ever do it, to be really taken seriously, as he lasted 4 seasons, and some of those more famous guys have been here for like anywhere from 10 to 15 seasons. Regardless of if he's actually the greatest Eagles receiver or not. His actions don't sit well with me, and I think for a lot of people, that was like the nail on the coffin confirming their resentment towards AJ Brown. At this point, we gotta just say fuck it and move on. All right, our last topic for tonight is some minicamp updates. First update we got through is that Mekhi Lemon missed the minicamp, continuing to deal with an unspecified hamstring injury, so we did not get to see the 20th overall pick perform in minicamp. Hopefully, this extended break that the team's going to have will help him in his recovery, and we'll get to see more of him during training camp. Additionally, other players that missed time included Devontae Smith. This was an excused, non-injury related absence, don't worry. Edge Joe Tyron Shoyinka, wide receiver and kick returner Brenton Covey, fullback Carson Steele, and linebacker Chandler Martin. Our next minicamp update involves Jalen Carter with a weird hold-in speculation. I don't know exactly what to call it. But anyway, on Wednesday, it was reported that the All-Pro defensive tackle did not fully participate at minicamp. Now, according to John Clark of NBC, he stated that Carter participated in one-on-ones and individual drills, just not team drills where he could, quote, get hurt. Now, he is coming off that procedure for both shoulders, so I can understand how that is the possibility. However, speculation of him like semi-holding out or whatever the case because of contract pay has already sparked across the internet. Now, Jalen Carter is eligible for a contract extension at the end of this upcoming season, I believe. During a post-minicamp press conference, though, head coach Nick Sirianni declined to discuss the extent of why Carter was a limited participant and only participating in these individual drills. I feel like this is just another thing for people to blow out of proportion, though. Like, he just had the procedure, y'all, but what, like a couple of months ago? So maybe it's a good idea for him to scaffold himself back into practice as opposed to going all or nothing and possibly risking even more damage to his shoulders. At that point, we'd be fucked. But we'll keep an eye on this as the season draws closer and closer. Next, minicamp update. Andy Dalton remains the quarterback too. Now, this is something that I personally didn't see coming, but since the beginning of OTAs, Andy Dalton has taken the majority, if not all, of the quarterback 2 reps, while Tanner McKee has taken the QB 3 reps. People have speculated that the Birds could be trading McKee, as he's been the subject of trade rumors on several instances. However, I feel like that talk had died down a bit, but now I feel like it's going to come up again with some analysts after seeing Dalton take the majority of these QB2 snaps. And for all we know, this could be like some type of learning opportunity for McKee as they transition into this new offense, because I got to imagine Andy Dalton is familiar with like a shit ton of offenses, considering he's been in the league for like 7 times as more years than Tanner McKee has. Either way, it'll be interesting to see if Dalton will still be the QB2 come week 1. Next update involves offensive shifts. It's been noted that the players are learning a brand new system and an entirely different playbook under the new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion, and we finally got to see some of those differences. We've already known about big changes such as increase in pre-snap motion, play action, and under center snaps. However, there are other noteworthy updates to this offense that should intrigue fans. For example, we've seen Sean Mannion take to a certain aspect of quarterback 1 Jalen Hurts that he's been criticized for, and that is targeting in the middle of the field versus sideline targeting. Whether it be because of skill deficits on a Hurts part or just a shitty Kevin Patullo offense, this has been an area of him that has been denounced by several analysts. Mannion isn't solely focusing on improving Hurts' strengths. He's also not holding back by avoiding weaknesses by routinely actually working on them in the new offensive scheme, something that Mannion should be praised for. Additionally, we've also seen an uptake in route running from the running back group. In the previous offense, it just seemed like the running back's only purpose was to run up the fucking middle no matter how many times it was ineffective. This time around, Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby, and even Will Shipley have been noticeably more involved in the passing game. Now, this adds some creativity and receiving options to the offensive unit, something that was well fucking lacking in the Petula offense. And finally, there's been a change on the offensive line that will benefit Lane Johnson, and I'm not talking about players. According to Caroline Connor of the Philadelphia Eagles, under the new Manian system, Lane Johnson will have help from the guard position for what he says is the first time in his career. Lane was quoted stating, "I have never had any guard help these years. It's always been one-on-one. So having the ability to be inside and having a guard come out and help me is a very big deal." Additionally, Lane acknowledged his excitement towards a, quote, less stagnant offense, one that utilized all of each player's true capabilities. With the help of newest Eagles offensive line coach Chris Cooper, Manian is looking to upgrade all aspects of the offense, opening up opportunities that were hindered in the previous season. All right, and last minicamp update, the rookies. We got some rookies making some splashes, y'all. Even though Mekhi Lemon was the bulk of the rookie conversation so far, and understandably so from the performances we've seen before his injury, he isn't the only rookie who's impressed so far. Second round pick tight end Eli Stowers, even though he had a quiet day Wednesday, his overall athleticism in camp so far has been noteworthy. Now, the Birds view him as an elite receiver, but I feel like they still have him as viewed as like this work in progress type of situation, considering that he converted from a QB to a tight end only 3 years ago. It seems like they're going to spend a lot of time on him developing his blocking, but if he improves in that area, he could be an all-around threat at the tight end position. Third round pick offensive tackle Markel Bell. Now, he has been impressive as well, especially in place of Lane Johnson before his arrival to mandatory camp. At 6'9" and over 360 pounds, his size alone is impressive. You got 6'8" Pro Bowl tackle Jordan Mailata saying, quote, "He's not of this planet." And that dude's already fucking big. Imagine standing next to Markel Bell and imagine Jordan Mailata saying that stuff about this guy. While Lane Johnson will remain the starter at the right tackle, the future does look bright for Bell. He'll get to learn from one of the best right tackles in the league. His passion matches his size, and that's something that his current and former coaches have collectively agreed upon. Although he was present but did not practice on Wednesday, I still think he's got a bright future with the Eagles ahead of him, and if all goes to what these reporters are saying, he has a great chance of possibly being the successor to Lane Johnson whenever he eventually retires. Other noteworthy rookies so far have included quarterback Cole Payton, who's been cited for having a cannon of an arm, but will require some development in targeting, especially in tight coverage, as well as international pathway player Uar Bernard, who, while still learning the game of American football, has been praised by both players and coaches for his development so far. He's gotten highlighted by Jordan Mailata, who seems to be like everybody's fucking hype man, and I love that. The rookies we really haven't heard a lot about, though, since they were drafted were offensive lineman Micah Harris, safety Cole Wisniewski, and edge Keyshawn James Newby. So we'll see what their fates are as we get closer to the roster deadline. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at Second and 15. That's 2NDAND15, or by the full name, Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. This episode, Second and 15, and Olde City Sports Network are brought to you by Warlord Beard Oil. Head on over to warlordbeardoil.com and use our promo code OLDSPORTS, all caps, for 15% off of your beard oils, washes, soaps, and many other products from this great veteran-owned company. And any order over $75 will get you free shipping. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Olde City Sports Network. Now, even though the players are embarking on a several weeks long vacation, we'll still bring you Eagles content on our regular weekly basis. So, on that note, we will see you all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle. And as always, Go Birds!